telling you, this thing's so big, you may not even want the next meal. These two cookies here fit quite easily right on top. Welcome back to the Anabolic Hub, where we make anabolic deliciousness. We're back inside my kitchen today, and we're doing another original recipe, anabolic oatmeal cream pies. This one is incredible, especially when you start comparing it to the original version. This one is about 3 times the size. It's definitely going to be ideal for any shredding plan, any weight loss plan, and definitely any main gaining plan. So with no further ado, let's get things started by having a look at the ingredients. Here we go. Oat flour, vanilla-based casein protein powder, ground cinnamon, baking powder, baking soda. The one ingredient to rule them all, salt. Plain non-fat Greek yogurt, Swerve. Brown, Swerve. Confectioners, vanilla extract, unsweetened almond milk. And this is basically another cookie recipe, so you probably know how it's gonna go. It's another one of those magical recipes where we're mixing together some dry ingredients, mixing together some wet ingredients, and combining the two for some anabolic deliciousness. So let's get things started here by mixing together our dry ingredients first. First dry ingredient is going to be 66 grams of oat flour. As always, if you don't have oat flour, don't worry about it. As long as you have oatmeal in a blender, you're good to go. Measure out the amount of oat flour that you need, blend it up until it's ground finely. Here I have 66 grams of the homemade oat flour, pre-measured and on the money, of course. Next, we need 33 grams of our vanilla-based casein protein powder. Yes, casein protein powder. Don't use whey, it'll be horrible, disgusting, dry, soupy batter, unsatisfying. Don't use whey, casein all the way. Here we go, 33 grams. The next dry ingredient is going to be 5 grams of the ground cinnamon. Next is going to be 2 grams of the baking powder. Not baking soda, baking powder. But we'll get to the baking soda next. 2 grams. And next up, oddly enough, is going to be 2 grams of our baking soda. And our last dry ingredient is going to be a pinch of salt. And now that we have all our dry ingredients in the bowl, the next step is to sift them all together. And as always, don't sleep on the sifting. We have baking powder and baking soda in this recipe. You want to make sure each of those ingredients, at the very least, gets fully dispersed amongst all of the other ingredients. But dry ingredients are done. Now we move on to the wet ingredients. The first wet ingredient that we need is going to be 80 grams of the plain non-fat Greek yogurt. And with the little bit that's left on the spoon there, we have 80 grams of the plain non-fat Greek yogurt. Exactly. And there is some moisture involved here, so I consider the next ingredient to be a wet ingredient. We're going to be putting in 10 grams of our Swerve brown sugar. And our next wet ingredient is going to be 1 gram of the vanilla extract. And remember, if you haven't already, the next time you get a new container of vanilla extract, leave the white covering on here, poke a hole with a toothpick. Way easier to pour out. We do have one more wet ingredient to get to, but before we get to that, there's a couple more steps. First being, we're gonna mix together all of these wet ingredients we've already put in. So just wanted to break in real quick here and remind you to smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you're not subscribed. You guys have been doing great. Still though, I only got 55% of you actually subscribed that are watching my videos. So if we can get that number up even more, just click the subscribe button, click the bell notification button, get all this anabolic deliciousness, many recipes coming out, doing a ton of reviews coming up on recipes. Check it out with me first before you make it. Don't waste your time if it's not worth it. Also, let me know in the comment section down below, what's more important on a birthday cake? Is it the frosting or is it the cake itself? Let me know. Comment section. All right, back to the video. And once you have those ingredients fully combined, the next step is to add in your dry ingredients, which we're going to do in 3 separate batches. Batch number 1. Batch number 2. Little spoon scrape down. And of course, batch number 3. And once you have something like this, you know that you're done mixing. You have this beach sandy type texture. Obviously, we cannot turn this into a cookie, so we need to use our final wet ingredient, which is going to be the almond milk. unsweetened of course. And as always, the amount of almond milk that you're going to need will vary based on the protein powder that you're using. Casein protein powder in particular absorbs quite a bit. If you're using whey, you already made a mistake, but add less in. Anyway, here I recommend starting with 50 grams of the almond milk, mixing it up, and then adding in 25 grams more at a time until you get the appropriate consistency, which I'm about to show you here. So make sure you're mixing until you think you've mixed enough, and then mix some more, because eventually it's going to turn into this dough ball right here in the mixing bowl. Once you have this type of consistency here, you know that you are good to go. You don't want it to be too soupy. It's not going to work. It's not going to bake up right. This is the type of consistency and texture that you want. Now that we have this done, the next step is to start forming our cookies. We're going to need 2 of them. Easiest way to do that is to weigh the dough that you have and then take out half. So I recommend taking out your dough, have a little balancing act with your spoon. Have fun with it. After all, cooking, we're supposed to have fun with it. Anyway, you have your dough ball here balanced nicely on your spoon. Zero out your scale with the bowl on it and then put the dough back in. For me, I had about 270 grams in there, so what I'm going to do is take out 135 grams using our negative scale measuring system. And then I'm going to put this onto a cookie sheet that we've lined with parchment paper. And to prevent the dough from sticking to your hands too much, what we're going to do here is dip our fingertips into some water and then use our negative scale measuring system to take out exactly half of the dough. And after you've measured out half the dough, you want to start forming it into your cookie. And I recommend getting into mostly cookie form with your hands, putting it on your piece of parchment paper, and then forming it out the rest of the way by pushing down and out. This is going to make a huge cookie here, so you want to do it so that they're both nice and even. You want to have the appropriate thickness, which I'll show you in a second. Easiest way to do it again, dip the fingertips, press down and out. Then you do the same thing with cookie number 2. And when you're done, you want to make sure you have 2 cookies that are about the same size and thickness so you get a nice even bake in the oven. For a frame of reference, that's how thick my cookies are. You can tell there by having a peek. And we are ready to start the baking process. For this particular recipe, I prefer to use a conventional oven just because these cookies are so big. Good luck fitting them into your air fryer. There's probably one big enough, but it doesn't exist in my house. So I'm going to be putting them in the oven, the conventional oven, and baking them at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius for 6 to 9 minutes. If you're going to be using an air fryer, you want to give it a go. Maybe you want to make several little ones like the originals. What you can do is put your air fryer at 325 degrees Fahrenheit or 160 degrees Celsius for 3 to 5 minutes. But like I said, today we're using the conventional oven here. Let's go put them in so we can start baking. And of course, we can't have an oatmeal cream pie without the filling that goes in the center between the 2 cookies. We're going to get started on that right now. We have 4 simple ingredients that we're going to be using. First one up is going to be 15 grams of our Swerve confectioners. And as you should know by now, of course, the best protein powder to make frosting with is always going to be casein protein powder, and it's no different in this case here. We're going to be adding in 17 grams of our vanilla-based casein protein powder. 17 grams on the money. Those are our 2 dry ingredients. We're just going to give this a quick mix, or in this case, sift. Next, we're going to start adding in the wet ingredients. The first one's going to be almond milk. You want to put in just enough that you need to get the proper consistency. For my casein protein powder, that's 35 grams. It might be different if you're using a different brand. So add in less than you think you need because you can always put more in, but you can't take any out. 35 grams going in here. Here comes a few drops of vanilla extract, our last ingredient, going in. And once you have this cream pie filling type consistency here, you know that you are done. And I just took our 2 oatmeal cookies out of the oven. They're a little bit inflated like all our anabolic cookies do. We're gonna let these cool off for about 5 to 10 minutes, add on our frosting, and then it's over, you guessed it, to the taste test table. And voila, we have our massive, massive oatmeal cream pie cookie. And we're back at the taste test table yet again to try another magnificent Anabolic Copycat recipe, our oatmeal cream pie here. Before we get into our taste test, just wanted to do a little bit of a comparison for you. I have right here to my left side 2 of your ordinary everyday Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies. As you can see, they're quite small. These 2 together just about equal the calories in this version, the anabolic version that you just saw me make. This thing's falling apart over here. Anabolic version, bigger than my hand. The Little Debbie version that basically fits in the palm of my hand. The comparisons don't end there. Once we start talking about the macros, it's even more ridiculous. In these 2 regular Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies, you have about 350 calories and 2 grams of protein with the 2 combined. This one here has more than 20 times the amount of protein right here in the anabolic version, and there's also more volume. These 2 cookies here fit quite easily right on top. You could probably fit another whole cookie on here. You're getting about 3 times the size just in dish covering space. That has nothing to do with the thickness. You can see the cream on the anabolic version. The only reason I can see it in this version is because the cookie's falling apart. That cream in the middle there tastes like nothing. You know why? Because all the flavor is coming from the sugar and fat that's in the actual cookie part, and that filling's just there for show in the Little Debbie version. Mine, however, you do get flavor with the cream, and you do get a ton of protein in there. In 2 of the Little Debbie cookies, you have 14 grams of fat. This is a fraction of the amount in the anabolic version. With the comparison, I digress a little bit. Let's get that up and out of the way, because once you try this one, you're not even gonna wanna look at the original. This one, so much better. With no further ado, let's jump right into the taste test here. You might be able to one-hand this cookie. You can, but it's pretty heavy, so I'm gonna grab it with 2. It's like we're having an oatmeal cream pie sandwich. First bite, best bite with this one every time. Here we go. Oh, so friggin' good. So much flavor, so much sweetness. Of course, you get that oatmeal cookie flavoring with the cookie. The cream in the middle is a perfect cream pie frosting. Tastes absolutely delicious. It is possible to one hand, especially after a couple bites. Look at that cream pie filling. I mean, that's incredible right there. So delicious. This is one of those copycat recipes that once made anabolic, there's so much more volume to it. The macros are so much more on point for the anabolic diet. It's crazy. You would probably have to go through half of the box of the Little Debbie's, at least half of the box, to feel as satisfied as you will by having this massive anabolic version. I'm telling you, this thing's so big, you may not even want the next meal. This is so good and so simple to make. Once you try it, you're gonna wanna have it every day. It's so filling, so satisfying. It's one of those snacks that can easily replace any other snack that you're currently having, giving you more volume, more satisfaction. I would venture to say it's even more delicious than the original. So many options on making this. If you wanted to make them more the size of the regular Little Debbie version, you could just make several small ones, divide the frosting among them. Maybe that'll give you more of an authentic feel, but I'm telling you, there's just something about having a massive friggin' oatmeal cream pie cookie that is just so good. The sweetness is unbelievable. I'm a huge oatmeal cookie fan. If you saw my oatmeal cookie recipe, I had so much fun putting that together. Oatmeal cookies have been a favorite of mine since I was a little kid. This one came out better than I ever could have imagined. Between the protein, the fiber, and the volume on this, I dare you to try to have 2. I don't think it's possible. I'm already about a third of the way through this cookie, and I'm already starting to feel full. Just kidding. But seriously, this is a massive cookie. There's no way you're going to be dissatisfied, unsatisfied. The only way you can be is satisfied having this one. Not a lot of steps to put it together. Very simple to do. It is hard to imagine we used to drink our protein powder, isn't it? This one is an absolutely must try. If you do end up trying it, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear how it turned out for you, but it's getting to be about that time. I gotta get up out of here, so I'll see you in the next one. Bye.